The first light of dawn reflected from the towering skyscrapers of Manhattan as Ethan Walker unlocked the side entrance to Orion Global's headquarters. The 50-story glass building dominated the financial district, housing one of America's most successful technology companies. While executives arrived later in luxury sedans, Ethan preferred reaching work before sunrise. As the building's senior maintenance technician, he quietly inspected electrical systems, repaired equipment, and made sure every floor was ready. Before thousands of employees filled the offices, few people noticed him, and that suited him perfectly. He had never cared about recognition. His greatest achievement wasn't keeping a billion-dollar building running. It was raising his 10-year-old son, Noah. After losing his wife in a tragic car accident 5 years earlier, every morning followed the same comforting routine. Ethan walked Noah to school before taking the subway into Manhattan. They always stopped at the same neighborhood bakery, where Noah insisted on choosing a chocolate muffin while Ethan settled for plain coffee. The boy often joked that his father could repair anything except remembering to eat breakfast. Ethan would simply smile, reminding Noah that making sure his son was happy mattered more than anything else. Those simple moments gave purpose to a life built on discipline, quiet sacrifice, and responsibility. Inside Orion Global, employees respected Ethan because he never complained and always solved problems that others considered impossible. Whether it was a failed security system, a malfunctioning elevator, or damaged computer equipment, he approached every task with remarkable calm and precision. Even engineers occasionally wondered how a maintenance technician possessed such extraordinary technical knowledge. Ethan always dismissed the compliments with a modest smile, saying he had simply learned through experience. What he couldn't explain was why certain advanced procedures felt strangely familiar, almost instinctive, despite having no memory of ever receiving specialized training. Since suffering a severe head injury many years earlier, large portions of his past had remained a mystery, leaving him with only scattered memories that refused to fit together. That afternoon, excitement spread throughout Orion Global as employees prepared for the company's annual charity gala. The event attracted business leaders, investors, military veterans, and influential guests from across the country. CEO Olivia Grant personally oversaw the final preparations, determined to make the evening flawless. Elegant decorations transformed the executive ballroom into a breathtaking display of crystal chandeliers, fresh white roses, and shimmering lights overlooking the New York skyline. Although Ethan normally finished his shift before such events began, a last-minute electrical issue required him to remain on site until everything had been tested. After repairing the lighting system, Ethan changed into the only formal suit he owned, one he had purchased years earlier for his wife's memorial service. It fit well despite its age, and Noah had insisted before school that morning that his father looked like a movie hero whenever he wore it. Smiling at the memory, Ethan straightened his tie before quietly entering the ballroom to ensure every lighting panel functioned correctly. His intention was to leave unnoticed. Once the guests arrived, the ballroom gradually filled with elegant conversations, laughter, and live orchestral music. Executives greeted investors while photographers captured images. Near the grand staircase, Olivia Grant moved gracefully among the guests, thanking supporters for attending the charity fundraiser. Despite leading one of America's fastest-growing companies, she remained known for treating every employee with equal respect. As she noticed Ethan making a final inspection near the stage, she smiled warmly and thanked him for staying late to help. Just then, another distinguished guest entered the ballroom. Conversation softened almost immediately. Eleanor Grant, Olivia's mother and the retired founder of Orion Global, walked slowly into the room, though well into her 70s. She carried herself with remarkable confidence. Throughout her career, she had advised government agencies and major corporations, earning a reputation for extraordinary intelligence, and sharp observation. Employees respectfully stepped aside as she greeted longtime friends and business partners with quiet elegance. Olivia gently guided her mother through the ballroom, introducing her to key staff members. As they approached the stage, Ethan happened to turn around after adjusting one of the lighting controls. For only a brief second, his eyes met Eleanor's. She stopped walking instantly. The smile disappeared from her face. Her breathing became uneven as she stared at Ethan in complete disbelief, studying every feature of his face as though she had seen a ghost. Her hands began trembling uncontrollably. Olivia looked at her mother with concern. "Mom, are you all right?" Eleanor never answered without taking her eyes off Ethan. She whispered in a voice barely loud enough for those nearby to hear, "No, this is impossible." Another step closer, she looked directly into Ethan's eyes, and the color drained from her face. "We thought," she whispered. Struggling to breathe, Codename Orion was dead. The ballroom fell into stunned silence as dozens of confused guests turned toward the quiet maintenance technician, completely unaware that the ordinary, single father standing before them might be connected to one of the greatest secrets anyone in the room had ever heard. A heavy silence settled over the ballroom after Eleanor Grant whispered the words that left everyone confused. Conversation stopped in mid-sentence. Glasses remained suspended in guests' hands, and even the orchestra gradually fell quiet. As musicians noticed the unexpected tension, Ethan stood motionless beside the lighting control panel, completely unaware why the retired founder of Orion Global was staring at him with such overwhelming emotion. He had never met Eleanor before, yet the expression on her face suggested she recognized someone she had mourned for decades. Olivia Grant gently held her mother's arm, worried she might collapse. "Mom," she asked softly. "Who is Codename Orion?" Eleanor struggled to answer. Her breathing remained uneven as she continued looking at Ethan. "A man we believed died 20 years ago," she whispered. "Someone who saved countless lives," before disappearing during an operation that was never supposed to exist. The executives exchanged puzzled glances. They had expected stories about the company's early years, not mysterious references to secret missions. Ethan frowned politely, assuming there had been some terrible misunderstanding. "I'm sorry," he said calmly. "I think you've mistaken me for someone else. My name is Ethan Walker. I've worked here for 5 years. Eleanor slowly walked closer until she stood only a few feet away. Her experienced eyes examined every detail of his face. She noticed the faint scar near his temple, the steady posture, and the quiet awareness with which he observed everyone in the room. Most people would have felt uncomfortable under such attention, but Ethan remained remarkably composed without realizing it. "You have a scar behind your right ear," Eleanor said quietly. Ethan looked surprised. "Yes," he admitted. "Doctors told me I suffered a serious head injury years ago. I don't remember how it happened." Eleanor closed her eyes for a brief moment, as though hearing the final piece of a puzzle fall into place. "So it really is you?" Olivia looked from her mother to Ethan in complete disbelief. "What are you talking about?" she asked before Eleanor could answer. Ethan instinctively reached toward a waiter carrying a silver tray. Without thinking, he caught a crystal glass that had slipped from the tray before it could hit the floor. The movement happened so quickly that several nearby guests barely saw his hand move. The waiter stared in amazement. "Thank you," the young man said. Ethan simply smiled and handed the glass back, unaware that everyone around him was watching. Eleanor wasn't surprised. He always had reflexes like that. She murmured. Ethan's expression changed slightly. "What do you mean?" Instead of answering immediately, Eleanor removed a small leather notebook from her evening handbag. Tucked inside was an old black and white photograph that had clearly been carried for many years. She carefully unfolded it and held it toward Ethan. The photograph showed a much younger man wearing military field clothing beside a helicopter. Although the picture had faded with age, the resemblance was unmistakable. The man's face was Ethan's, only younger without the beard, without the tired eyes created by years of ordinary life. Ethan stared silently at the photograph. "I've never seen this before," he whispered as he continued looking at it. Something strange happened. A sudden pounding filled his head. Brief flashes appeared in his mind. Rain. A helicopter rotor spinning overhead. A voice shouting through static. Running across a bridge at night. Then complete darkness. Ethan instinctively grabbed the edge of a nearby table to steady himself. Olivia rushed forward. "Are you okay?" Ethan said quietly. "I don't know." The memories disappeared as quickly as they had arrived, leaving only fragments he couldn't explain. Eleanor gently folded the photograph. 20 years ago," she said. A man known only as Codename Orion vanished during a classified operation. Every agency involved believed he had been killed. There was no body, no rescue signal, and no evidence that anyone survived. She looked directly into Ethan's eyes. "But if you lost your memory," her voice broke with emotion, "then you never knew you came home." The ballroom remained silent. Executives who had viewed Ethan as nothing more than a quiet maintenance technician now looked at him with entirely different eyes. Ethan himself felt no sense of pride or excitement. He only felt confusion. His peaceful life had been built on raising his son, fixing broken equipment, and keeping promises to the people who depended on him. Now a single photograph and a forgotten code name threatened to unravel everything he believed about his past. Standing in the center of the ballroom, surrounded by strangers staring at him in disbelief, Ethan realized that the answers he had spent years unknowingly searching for might finally be within reach, and they could change not only his future, but also everything he thought he knew about who he truly was.